Good morning, students. Welcome to St. Philip's online class. Dear learners, I'm the as teacher of St. Philip's High School and College. Dear learners, today we are going to do a class for class 7 English second paper. First, let's see some phrases and try to find out the topic for today. Okay, we'll see now some phrases and try to find out the topic. First, a group of words. You must remember that we are seeing some phrases, and seeing these phrases we will try to find out the topic for today. Then, subject verb combination. See carefully. Subject verb combination. Then, complete thought and meaning. So, dear learners, what can you think? Seeing these phrases, can you guess what may be the topic for today? Let's see the topics. The learners, our today's topic is the sentence, and this is for class 7 English second paper. Okay, first I would like to tell you the learning outcomes. Dear learners, after the lesson you will be able to define sentence with characteristics. Okay, then you will be able to know the classifications of sentences, and then you will be able to catch the sentence structures. What are the structures of the sentences? Okay. Then finally you will be able to use sentences in your daily activities. So without a further go, let's get started. Dear learners, the first question is, what is a sentence? So can you guess what is a sentence? Let's see. If it's a sentence, it must have a group of words. Okay, it must have a group of words. It will have subject and verb combination. If a group of words is called a sentence, it must have a group of words and subject verb combination. Then the group of words will have a complete thought. Must got it. Then it will have a meaning, sense. Okay. So, dear learners, we understood that if it's a sentence, it will have a group of words with subject-verb combination, and then it will make a complete thought with meaning. Okay. So, we understood that what is a sentence. Dear learners, you can see the example. Beautiful girl is the. This is a group of words, isn't it? This is a group of words, but it's not a sentence because it's fulfill only one condition, and that is group of words. It doesn't have subject-verb combination. This group doesn't have complete thought. We didn't get any meaning from this group of words. So we can call it a sentence. If it's a sentence, it's not a sentence. But in the second example, you can see the girl is beautiful. If it's so, it's called a sentence. Why? Because this group of words has a group of words, and it has a subject-verb combination. As you can see that the subject and the verb is highlighted. Okay. So this group has subject-verb combination, and this group of words can make a complete thought, and at the same time it can give us meaning. Okay, so this is a sentence, and the other examples are same. Okay, now the sentence are of 4 types, as you can see on the screen. Assertive or declarative, we will have interrogative sentences, we will have imperative, command, request, wish, etc. And then we will have sentences of exclamation, that means exclamatory sentences. So, dear learners, you can see the 4 types of sentences. Okay, now we will see the definition of sentences. As you can see on the screen, a sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought. You must remember, a sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought, and a sentence must have a subject and verb combination, but it may or may not have object. That means if it's a sentence, it will have a subject verb what combination, and it's compulsory. It must have to have subject verb combination, and it's not necessary to have an object with the group. Okay, being subject verb combination, a group of words doesn't need any object to complete its thought. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now we'll see the kinds of sentences. How many kinds or how many types of sentences are there in English grammar? Let's see. Dear learners, we can divide sentences in two ways. You must remember, we can divide sentences in two ways, according to meaning and according to structures. Dear learners, today we'll discuss the kinds according to meaning, and according to meaning, sentences are of four types. Okay, so let's see. Sentences. First, assertive or declarative sentences. This is the first time we need some sentences to express our thoughts. Okay, then the sentences that makes general statement or assertion is called assertive or declarative sentence. Then we'll have imperative sentences to make comments, request, wish, advice, etc. Okay, so imperative sentences that express comments, request, advice, wish, or prayer, etc. Then we'll have interrogative sentences to make questions. Okay, so let's see. Interrogative sentences ask questions. You must remember. Then we'll have exclamatory sentences. What are they? What is exclamatory sentence? Let's see. Exclamatory sentence that expresses strong feelings of our mind. So these are the classification of sentences. Basically, we get four types of sentences in English grammar. Got it? Okay, let's go ahead. Now we'll see the sentences according to meaning with examples. Okay, first we will say declarative or assertive sentence. What? Assertive sentence. Assertive sentence makes a general statement or assertion. Then begins with a capital letter. You must remember that assertive sentences begin with a capital letter. Okay, then it ends with a periodic mark. That means full stop. You must remember assertive sentences always ends with full stop or periodic mark. Okay, now let's see some examples. First, we should eat green fruits every day. Here in the sentence, see, many people are fishing in the phone. Dear learners, I hope you can see that in the first sentence, W is highlighted because as we have described that declarative sentence begins with a capital letter, and in the first sentence W is capital and ends with a periodic mark, as you can see, a full stop at the end of the sentence. Okay, and see the structure of assertive sentences. First subject, then T verb. It means tense verb, or you can say what? Finite verb. Got it? So subject, tense verb, then object, complement with extension. And this is the structure of declarative or assertive sentence. Okay, you must remember. Let's go ahead. Interrogative sentences. What is an interrogative sentence? See, interrogative sentence asks a question. Interrogative sentence begins with auxiliary or helping verb, or sometimes it begins with WH word. Okay, then interrogative sentence ends with a question mark. You must remember that interrogative sentences end with a question mark. Okay, let's see the examples. See, first example, am I a good student? Okay, then in the second, you can say, how are my friend? There is a little mistake, composing mistake, I'm sorry. How are you, my friend? Then, where are you going? In all the sentences, what can we say? Am, as we have told that begins with auxiliary or helping verb. So we got am. Then in the second, say question mark. Interrogative sentences must end with question mark. Okay, you must remember. Then in the second example, you can see how. As we have told that it can begin with WH word, and in the second sentence we can see so. Okay, and ends with what? A mark of question mark. Then where WH word and ends with the question mark. So I hope you understood interrogative sentences. Now we will see the structures of interrogative sentences. Dear learners, interrogative sentences have two types of structures. Let's see. The first structure is called yes no question. Okay, you must remember auxiliary verbs or helping verbs plus subject, then main verb as per tense. Okay, you must use this verb as per tense. Then object complement with extension. Okay, and the second type is a WH word plus auxiliary or helping verb plus subject. Then we need main verb as per tense and object complement with extensions. So you must remember the structures of interrogative sentences. And why do we need it? Why do we need it? This is the question. Because we have to change these sentences into associatives in the exam. So you listen carefully and watch carefully. See the what examples with structures. Okay, let's go ahead. Now we will see imperative sentences. What are they? Imperative sentences can express comments, requests, advice, wish, or prayer, etc. Okay, and it begins with a verb. You must remember that imperative sentences always begin with a verb. Okay, then ends with a periodic mark and sometimes mark of exclamation. You must remember that sometimes imperative sentences ends with a periodic mark and sometimes it can end with a mark of exclamation. Okay, so let's see the examples. In the first example, you can say, don't waste your time. So the sentence begins with a verb, negative form of the verb. Okay. Then in the second sentence, you can say, catch the ball carefully. In this sentence, we can also see that the sentence has begun with a verb. Okay. And in the third sentence, you can say, may God bless you. In the first sentence, see, the sentence begins with a verb. In the second one, it also begins with a verb. And the third one is also what? Begins with a verb, auxiliary verb. Correct? And one is ended with a periodic mark, and the second one has been ended with a mark of exclamation. So, in imperative sentences, we should use or we could use both periodic mark and mark of exclamation. You must remember. Okay. Now we will see the structures. The first structure is verb base form plus object with extension, and there is another structure, and that is main plus subject plus verb base form plus object. Okay. And imperative sentence has one more structure, and that is let plus object plus verb base form plus extension. So dear learners, you must remember that imperative sentences has three types of structures. One is beginning with verb base form, and the other one is beginning with auxiliary verb may, and the last one is beginning with a verb let. Okay, you must remember all this. So let's go ahead. Now we'll say exclamatory sentences. Let's see. Exclamatory sentence can express certain feelings of mind. You must remember exclamatory sentences express our certain feelings of mind. Okay, then begins with interjections and sometimes it begins with what or how. You must remember. Then it ends with a mark of exclamation. Okay, exclamatory sentences end with a mark of exclamation. You must remember. Let's see the examples. In the first example, see, shit, I have lost everything. Okay, shit, I have lost everything. In the second sentence, you can see what a beautiful scenery it is. So, dear learners, in the third example, see, wow, it's delicious. Dear learners, you can see three examples of exclamatory sentences. And see, in the first sentence, shit, as I have told you that exclamatory sentence begins with interjections and shit is interjections, one of the parts of species. Got it? Among 8, interjection is one of the 8 parts of speech. Interjections. So, first example begins with an interjections, and in the second example, you can see it begins with what or how, as stated before. I'm sorry, and in the third sentence or in the second sentence ends with a mark of exclamation. This symbol is called mark of exclamation or exclamation mark. Okay. In the third sentence, you can see that wow, one of the parts of speech, and that is called interjection. You must remember. Okay. Now we'll see the structures. We use two types of structures for imperative sentences. Got it? Two types of structures. The first one is interjection, then mark of exclamation plus subject plus verb plus object or complement. Okay. Then in the second structure is what or how plus object complement plus subject plus verb. Then we'll use mark of exclamation. So, dear learners, all this was about sentences. So, to learn a language, we must have to learn the basic structures of sentences. Otherwise, it will be quite impossible for us to learn a language. And as you know, that English is a flexible language. Got it? Flexible language. So, my dear learners, we will learn English scientifically or logically. Got it? So, dear learners, you must practice at home about sentences so that you can write good sentences in English. Okay. And you must remember what is discussed today. Okay. So, thank you all for being with me till now. Thank you very much.